Dala and welcome. So in today's discussion, we are going to be talking about how we all have access to certain information, and those information come to us in order to guide us, in order to give us some directions in our everyday life. As you've seen in the title, it is about the fact that you're always warned. Very rarely things just happen out of nowhere without you getting some type of hint, some type of indication along the way. A lot of the time, what is happening to us has been unfolding for quite some time. You may have had some type of feelings about something that you shouldn't be doing, and then later see where the situation unfolds from that. So it is really about talking about things that we already possess, abilities we already have, access we already have. And I think this is part of the conversation that follows through with the first episode of Ma'at that I published a few days ago. Knowing thyself, understanding oneself, and understanding and being able to follow your intuition, to look at those different signs, be open to get those signs that are going to help you make better decisions. So we all have those moments where these feelings down inside is pushing us in a certain way, whether it is to avoid something or whether it is to do something. And this is what we're going to be talking about in this video. So the two movies that I've selected for this video as visuals, because we all know that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So those two are two American movies. The first one came out last year. I think you can see tons and tons of review about it. Get Out. I think it's a very clever movie that has a lot of things that we can teach through that movie, but I'm just going to use it for you to understand my point about intuition. The second movie is a movie that came out back in 2005, and it's called The Skeleton Key. Again, another one of the movies that I love teaching with, because there's so much in it in terms of spirituality, in terms of psychology, in terms also on the impact of music and dreams and so forth and so on. So let me know in the comments if you will be interested in a discussion based on those movies, because I know there's already tons and tons of things and videos on Get Out, but maybe some of you will be interested or more interested in a discussion on different elements from the movie The Skeleton Key. So let me know in the comments. So now we go in The Skeleton Key and in the Get Out movie. What we see is that two characters, one is a woman, the other one is a man, and they are going through a journey and going through different experiences, but very, very quickly they notice on their own that there's something that is not right. Okay, so simply by looking around, by observing, it takes them a little bit of time to notice the different things. Of course, I'm sure it's because of the movie. We need some meat to that movie. So it takes them a little while for both of them to kind of figure out what situation they are in. And I'm not going to go into details, because for those of you who haven't seen those two movies, I'll give you the opportunity to go and watch them, because they are very interesting movies to watch. And so what I wanted to talk about intuition, which is the superpower that we all have access to, that we all have within, that we've all had that kind of experience with it. So it's nothing, woohoo, and nothing out there, nothing that you can drool about when you're looking at somebody else. It's really something that each of us has access to, and that each of us has at some point experiment to different levels. And what intuition usually does, it points you to certain things. It points you to certain facts. It points you to a certain way of thinking or a certain way of feeling. You may feel some kind of way when you're offered to do something. You may feel some kind of way when you're presented with some type of information. And this is both illustrated in each of these movies. In the first movie, in Get Out, this young man realized that he is in a weird situation, and he has the mindfulness to talk about it with his friends, because he deep inside knows that there's something that is not quite right. And similarly, in the skeleton key, she's also having the same feeling. She's feeling that there's something that's not right, and she's asking her best friend, and she's presenting this information to her best friend to get additional advice. And this is exactly where what I want to underline, that sometimes that intuition, that powerful sense of self, that powerful sense of knowing, that higher self that can see ahead of you, is giving you pointers, is giving you indicators to either avoid something that's going to be very negative that you can still learn from by avoiding it, or simply to do something that will benefit you in the long run. And so here we have this kind of external manifestation of intuition through the best friend. So on one side, it is the guy best friend who's basically sucking in the information that's being given to him and putting it back, turning it back to express that there's some form of danger, that there's something that you need to be careful about, to be worried about, to get out of that specific situation before things starts really turning really ugly or much harder. And it is a kind of a powerful expression of the intuition, because it's speaking of things that we don't necessarily want to hear. It's speaking of things and indication that we don't necessarily want to go by, because we have, based on our values, based on our belief, based on the person, on the character that we want to play, or the character that we aspire to be, we may tend not to listen to that. And in both of those movies, we see that both of the characters get the advice from the best friend, from the friend that's telling them, there's something not right, you need to get out of there, and still decide to remain in the situation. So in the Get Out movie, we can clearly see that despite the fact that his friends told him to get out, to be a little bit careful, to pay attention, he decides to remain in the situation. However, he decides to remain in the situation, but he opens his mind and he starts being a little bit more careful. He starts observing things a little bit more, and eventually he realizes what kind of danger he is in. And by going through a lot of different things, he comes to that realization. And it is a contrast between the two movies, because on one side you do have someone who's able to realize something and take immediate action to do something about it, and get rescued at the end, or somewhat. However, in the other movie with the skeleton key, is that her friends also give her the warnings, tell her to be careful, and she sucked that information in. However, she doesn't really apply it. However, she goes deeper into the situation, and so deep, unfortunately, that no one can come out to her rescue. No one can do anything. And you can see here the contrast between, on one hand, in Get Out, the person realizing there's a danger and doing everything they can and fighting for it, and realizing it really early. However, in the skeleton key, you see that the person is really getting themselves even deeper intertwined in the situation, unfolding in there to the point of non-return, that when it's actually realized that things are really not that great, it is way too late. So it is to say that we always have a choice. We always have a choice in terms of what we want to do, but also we always have a choice in terms of whether we want to listen to this intuition. But the warnings are there. The signs are there. And sometimes it is just a matter of looking around and being open to receive that, even if it goes against our own personal belief. Open to receive that, even if it will require us to give up on something we thought we wanted so much, to give up on something we wanted so much. So there is a time for balance. And I think that's kind of calling us also to know ourselves, to recognize when that voice is talking and not just our ego, to recognize when we are being warned of something much deeper, like something that can have longer consequences than something that's going to be insignificant. To recognize when it is your intuition speaking and not your anxiety, when it is your intuition speaking and not your fear. And at the same time, to take action, because that's where it resides. The different outcome in the two movies reside in the fact that one person took action to get out of the situation no matter what. And the other one, however, sank into that situation, really dive into it and try to do, based on her belief, what she could do within that. and to conquer that situation, which she wasn't able to do. So it is really important when you get this kind of information to act on the information. It's not sufficient just to receive it, just to interpret it, just to understand what it means. Because at the end of the day, even if you understand what it means, if you don't apply it, what was the worth of you receiving that information? So in the comments, let me know if you ever had a situation where you actually felt like you shouldn't be doing something and it turned out actually it wasn't the way of the things you should have done, or whether you had something that was telling you to do something and it was actually something good and positive. Or maybe you just think that all of these things are just pure coincidence. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.